We're already in the holiday season, and with this season comes a lot of good things. For me, it's that time of the year in which everything gets hectic. There's deadlines to meet and last-minute issues to solve. Also, Seiyu tend to release a lot of photo books, albums, singles, and participate in variety shows around this time of the year. December is intense. For those that are still in their teens, an advice: make the best out of those years because grown-up life is not easy, especially in this time of the year. But back to what I was talking about before I start sounding like a school counselor. Because I love getting your feedback, I took one question to the Hand That Feeds HQ's social media accounts. Do you have any themes or corners you'd like to listen to me tackling on Seiyu Lounge's upcoming Christmas-themed episodes? And you delivered! Thank you to everyone that reached out and gave their suggestions. Know that all your suggestions were taken into account, but due to time constraints and the fact that this season will only be covered in 3 episodes, I had to pick and choose the topics that best fit the podcast and that, at the same time, avoid copyright issues. In the holiday spirit, I will dedicate not 1 but 3 episodes on the season, each of those exploring different topics under one common theme: the 12 Days of Christmas. The 12 Days of Christmas theme was suggested by the Hand That Feeds HQ's patron PM on YouTube. But then I thought, how can I pull this off in a podcast without being too far-fetched, especially with Seiyu Lounge not running daily but weekly? That's when I decided to do 12 of everything. 12 of everything? That's crazy. Well, given that you suggested pretty cool things and I also had my own that I wanted to talk about, I decided to do a sort of list episodes on 3 specific topics. The first one is, in a way, a suggestion by Maya. Hope I am not mispronouncing your name. If I am, apologies. And that is to talk about Christmas-themed anime episodes, movie moments, and music. While I'd love to talk about everything in that topic, in the last couple of years I seldom have watched anime and I don't watch movies at all, because I don't have the time to do so. So I'll be talking about music, my fuel, and the Hand That Feeds HQ's main theme. So grab a cup of hot cocoa and snuggle on a blanket, because this is going to be a cozy episode. Let's kick off this episode of Seiyu Lounge. Welcome to Seiyu Lounge. I am your host Vanessa, and today's theme is 12 Christmas songs by your favorite male Seiyu. I mentioned by your favorite Seiyu, but perhaps you're not a fan of some or any of the Seiyu mentioned in this episode. If you aren't, this will be an episode filled with discoveries of warm, gentle Christmas songs that you are still not aware of. If you're a big fan of some of the artists mentioned in this episode, this will be a treat for you. A brief note before I kick off this episode for real. I will not be featuring snippets of any of the songs mentioned in this episode to avoid copyright strikes. I will leave in the description the names of the artists, the respective songs, and links if there are any. Additionally, when this episode drops, a special list feature will be published at the Hand That Feeds HQ, so make sure to check it out on the website or access the Hand That Feeds HQ's social media accounts for a direct link to the 12 Christmas songs by your favorite male Seiyu list. I will share as well with you a Spotify playlist with songs ready to brighten this holiday season, so make sure to check it out in the article as well. Without further ado, let's start talking about those Christmas songs. Christmas songs are hard to come by in the seiyuu industry, especially on the male seiyuu side. Have you noticed that? I went over some of my favorite artists and some didn't have any Christmas songs. Well, that's no surprise. Soma Saito is far from being a jolly solo artist. I love the dark, introspective tone in his music, but we can all agree that he's more the type of artist you'd play when you're feeling melancholic, rather than on Christmas to entertain everyone. He entertains, just not in the jolly holiday sense. Makoto Furukawa, another one of my favorite singers among seiyuu, is all about the jazz, not so much about Christmas or the holidays. Does his music fit the season? Perhaps. But as I went over the final list for this episode, I noticed his music doesn't fit the holiday season, or at least doesn't go well with my picks. That's when I checked another favorite of mine, Yuma Uchida. By now you must be... She does have a lot of favorites. Yeah, when you review as much music and as many artists as I do yearly, you end up with a lot of favorites. And if you like music in general and good voices, that is usually inevitable. There are a lot of insanely skilled singers of seiyuu background active in the music industry. I happen to enjoy quite a few, but Soma Saito, Makoto Furukawa and Yuma Uchida are my absolute favorites in terms of skill, variety, and how unique their music is in comparison with other seiyuu currently in the music industry. I also have a soft spot for Toshiki Toyonaga and Shota Oi, but when it comes to ultimate favorites, the first three take the spot. To sum it all up, I enjoy plenty of good, skilled singers among male seiyuu. So back to what I was talking about. I vaguely remembered having reviewed a Christmas-themed song performed by Yuma Uchida back in 2019. Where was it? Where was it? Yup, there she was. Suggestion number 1. Yuma Uchida with Merry Christmas. Yuma Uchida has made most of his solo career so far as an R&B pop singer. He does have plenty of high-tension dance tunes and the occasional edgy rock tracks or warm R&B tunes. It really is interesting to see and hear how much he has been diversifying his repertoire and at the same time making the best out of every opportunity to showcase his skills as well as range and technique. So it came as no surprise when in 2019, Yuma Uchida released a Christmas-themed song. Merry Christmas, that's the title of the song, was featured in his single Rainbow, and it counts with a sweet and suggestive blend of funk, jazz and R&B that made a lot of his fans go crazy. I fell in love with Merry Christmas while I was reviewing it. That bass line and the Rhodes piano melody won me over in the blink of an eye. I am talking about a bass line that is insanely groovy, even on headphones that are neutral, such as mine. I can only imagine how much bounce this song has on bass-centric headphones. It sure is also a pretty good song for those that love a good bass line like I do. As far as Christmas songs go, I am not a purist. A Christmas song that has an R&B sonority is as good as the traditional pop take on Christmas songs. Uchida didn't spare anyone with this enticing romantic take on what is, remember, a Christmas song. I'll openly say that I am a sucker for Yuma Uchida's rich R&B-ish vocals. He's also got himself a smooth, gentle tone that from the very moment I heard, I was enthralled. So I am biased when I say that in this song, Uchida's vocals are dashing. The sweet legato, the suggestive whispers, and the smooth mid-tones, yeah, these may not be a traditional Christmas song, but it sure turned into a favorite tune of mine to listen in this holiday season. Suggestion number 2. Rivale, To My Dearest. Rivale are usually known for their, I would say, energetic, EDM-centric music. At least this was their greeting card up until 2019, when they started to change their sound into a mature, classier jazz pop sound that, instead of lighting up the dance floor, heats up the jazz lounge. Aside from Rivale's high-tension pop songs or classy jazz pop tunes, Rivale do have their own Christmas-themed song. I am talking about To My Dearest, song that you can find in their first full-length album, Real Axis, released in 2018. Personally, To My Dearest isn't a song that ranks high on my favorite Rivale's songs list, but it really is a good effort by the talented duo to showcase a gentler, warmer vibe that contrasts with their usual regal, unapproachable demeanor. To My Dearest is a slow-paced, holiday-inspired ballad that brings Christmas bells as percussion, dreamy piano, and synth melodies as the backdrop for the duo's heartwarming harmonies. I appreciate the slow pace and focus on creating a cozy soundscape for the listeners to immerse themselves in. This is for sure a Christmas song and a pretty solid one. Suggestion number 3. Quell with Arigato. Although not necessarily a Christmas song, Quell's Arigato, released in 2017, is a sweet, heartwarming song that has a beautiful and simple message of thanks to your loved ones. Christmas is all about this, that's why this song gets an instant feature on this list. But if this is not a good enough argument to inspire you to check this song, I'll throw in some extra bait. The vocals are gentle, almost lullaby-ish, yet carrying a lot of emotion on it. The harmonies within the group and the warm and welcoming soundscape are more than ready to create the perfect holiday vibe for you. I particularly enjoy how this song gently showers the listener with love, with their performance being almost like a serenade as they slowly snuggle with you in front of the fireplace. Quite possibly one of the sweetest songs I will mention in this episode. Suggestion number 4. Tetsuya Kakihara with Hikari Winter Version. Tetsuya Kakihara is usually known for his intense pop sound, but in Circle of Life, back in 2016, he decided to give the holiday treatment to one of his earliest songs, Hikari. Hikari Winter Version introduced quite a lot of changes, namely the church choir that enriches the background of this song. Part of the performance is in a cappella fashion, and the fact that this is a softer, stripped-down version of the original. To top it all off, Tetsuya Kakihara vastly grew as a singer since the release of the original. Therefore, in Hikari Winter Version, his performance has R&B tones and a sweetness underneath that you couldn't tell before. I feel like Tetsuya Kakihara is pretty underrated as a singer. He's grown by leaps and bounds in the last 3 to 4 years and has been releasing music that I honestly never expected would come from the rookie solo artist Kakihara that was performing electronica and upbeat pop. All of this to say that you should give this song a chance and especially enjoy Kakihara's breathy tenor vocals. When Hikari Winter version starts playing, it's chills all over me. This is a beautiful rendition of the original track. As far as cozy, warm Christmas songs go, this one is perfect. Suggestion number 5. Yuki Ono with Mission Clause. Here's another seiyuu that usually goes unnoticed despite the insane talent and skills he has. If you remember Yuki Ono's solo career at Atlantis, wait a bit. Please don't remember. Those were awful times. Some good songs here and there, but the concepts and visuals were weird. And not a reflection of the artist that is Yuki Ono. Thing is, Yuki Ono left Atlantis not long ago to start his own thing as a solo artist, having complete creative freedom, choosing the concepts he wants, enlisting the help of his friends in the seiyuu industry to craft lyrics and compose music, and is writing his own songs. Total creative freedom sounds fun, and it is. Yuki Ono is in his best moment as a solo artist now that he is an indie artist. He may not have the big budget or marketing machine that he had back at Atlantis, but he's doing pretty well by himself. I really do love when seiyuu show everyone how talented they are and how they do not need a big music label in order to release music with the same or even better quality. Yuki Ono has been doing quite the awesome work as an indie solo artist since his departure from Atlantis. Early in 2020, the talented voice actor and solo artist delivered a unique Christmas-themed mini-album titled Winter Voice Friends. Aside from the fact that this was a sort of concept album, he also enlisted the help of his close friends Tomokazu Sugita, Hosoi Yoshimasa, Soma Saito, and more to write lyrics or compose music for the songs he would be performing in that album. So, all this talk about Yuki Ono, but what about his Christmas song? Well, the song that I consider a must to listen during this holiday season is Mission Clause. This is a song that embraced the spirit of Christmas with a beautiful, inspiring instrumental, a sweet performance by Yuki Ono, and the holiday visuals we all crave for in a music video for a Christmas song. Honestly, please check the music video for this song. It's really fun and befitting of this season. Suggestion number 6. Shining Stars with Shining Star Christmas. In 2013, Shining Stars, all-star group consisting of Starish and Quartet Night, delivered a beautiful, heartwarming Christmas-themed song for their fans. I feel like I don't talk enough about Utapri, perhaps because I no longer follow the franchise closely, aside from the news I break to you at The Hand That Feeds HQ, but this is a franchise that, aside from its fair share of cheesy songs, all pop music-centric franchises have this. It's a franchise that has plenty of great, underrated songs that usually go under the radar of most seiyuu fans because those don't sound trendy enough. Shining Star Christmas is such song. This is exactly the kind of song that will melt even the coldest of hearts with the warm harmonies by the talented members and the sweet instrumental in the backdrop. This song has a certain nostalgic tone for me, something that I can only attribute to having lived 90s Christmas songs like there was no tomorrow. I am a 92 liner, by the way. And the fact that this song has such an old school instrumental that makes all those memories come to me once again. Shining Star Christmas is that kind of song that takes me back in time. There's nostalgia, but also a brightness that makes you hopeful and cheery when listening to it. Beautiful song with a classy touch that I love. Suggestion number 7. Mamoru Miano with Christmas to You. When I mention the name Mamoru Miano and the word songs in the same sentence, people will instantly say Shine, Orpheus, New Order, Tempest, Identity, and many more of his hit songs. And most, if not all, of these are among his best hits. Miano does have a lot of songs, a repertoire of almost 200, and he continues to add more with each passing year. But with the wide variety of songs he releases, there are some that end up being forgotten. It's inevitable when you're a pop artist as active as Mamo and with over a decade of releases under his belt. So I really went to the vault to grab this one. Christmas to You is that type of song that I believe only hardcore Mamo fans actually listen to regularly. Included in his 2010 single Hikaru Hikari, Christmas to You is a sweet, unusual, and highly underrated song in Miano's repertoire, as well as a befitting entry in this list. I would love for Mamoru Miano to release a holiday-themed song in the future, because his vocals right now are capable of hitting those sweet notes, and he's also mastered R&B riffing, something that could prove useful in R&B Christmas tunes, much in the likes of Yuma Uchida's Merry Christmas. Suggestion number 8. Rêve Parfait with Christmas Carol. This is one of the less conventional entries in this list. Rêve Parfait are far from being known as a pop group. They are actually a rock band and are even farther from being called gentle in their performances. Christmas Carol has a different take on the Christmas holidays theme, exploring it from a nutcracker's point of view. As a result, you have a song with a marching, riveting percussion, Christmas bells, glockenspiel melodies, and intense brass, all complemented by the band's own brand of rock. This is not the type of song that will give you warm, gentle vibes, but still a refreshing take on what is considered a holiday type of song. If you have the chance to check this song, please do. It's quite a unique take on a Christmas song. Suggestion number 9. Mezzo with Amasa Hikaeme. Mezzo, subunit part of the Idolish 7 franchise, are best known for their ballads and emotional performances. They still have their occasional bright pop and rock tune in the mix, but those are rare occasions. Mezzo are all about their emotional ballads. In 2018, the duo released the astounding single Ame, easily one of my favorite ballads ever released by a 2D unit, and like myself, many of you were mesmerized and chilled by the duo's performance in that song. But did you know that the single comes with 2 tracks? Because I found myself squinting my eyes when I came across Mezzo's Amasa Hikaeme, because I honestly didn't even recall having listened to that song, and I reviewed the single back when it was released. So I went back and pressed play. Certainly this is going to be another ballad. This is actually a pretty underrated and gentle holiday-themed song with an old-school R&B undertone. And as always, Mezzo, which consists on Atsushi Abe and Ken, deliver a warm performance to go with it. perfect song to cozy up in front of the fireplace with that hot cocoa. Suggestion number 10. Shotawoi with Powder Snow. Shotawoi is yet another name that you wouldn't normally add to a list about Christmas or holiday-themed songs. I know. He's best known for his powerful pop sound with hints of EDM. But as talented and versatile as Aoi is, he's also had his own take on a holiday-themed song. Powder Snow, song from Aoi's full-length album Zero, released in 2017, fits right in the holiday song with a different twist category. The song has a gentle side but never forgetting a bit of Aoi's trademark sound, bringing electric guitar solos, channeling the season, and simple synths that drive the song forward. I see a lot of TM revolution in Aoi's sound, and that has been something that, aside from his angelic vocals and massive skill set, has always drawn me into his music. That classic TM Revolution 90s pop sound can be heard in hits and beats of this song, so Powder Snow ends up being a double treat for me. As far as Christmas elements go, this song has the mandatory bells, acoustic guitars, and delicate piano melodies to give you a pleasant experience throughout. This is not the type of song to cuddle to, but still a beautiful and unique song that perfectly fits this holiday-themed episode. Suggestion number 11. Ai Mikaze with Winter Blossom. Ai Mikaze counts with one of the most beautiful ballads in the Utapri franchise with Winter Blossom. Not only this is a holiday-themed song, but it is also a romantic ballad that has a unique gentleness to it. Acoustic guitars, dreamy piano melodies, minimalistic drums, and Shotawoi's delicate vocals tenderly wrap you around and lullaby you. It's a really good song with a powerful yet simplistic message underneath. I am particularly fond of the piano melody in this song, but I won't stray away from the topic at hand. Check Winter Blossom if you can, sweet to its core and with the right measures of romance on top. Suggestion number 12. And the last suggestion of mine is Elekita Round Zero's Summer Snow. I assume few of you have listened to this song, as Elekita Round Zero were only popular in the early 10s and faded away with time. Still, they were an insanely talented duo that I loved to bits. Unfortunately, the duo disbands on December 23rd, 2020, when their best-of album DOLL is released. While the title, Summer Snow, is contradictory, its theme and tone fit this season to a T. Elekita Round Zero released Summer Snow in 2012, and it was an instant favorite among their fans. This is a romantic song with a tragic story going, but let's focus on the melancholy that Christmas always brings to the table. Either the memories you have from your childhood, memories of loved ones that are long gone but never forgotten, of places you visited, of things you've done, of loves you've experienced. Summer Snow carries that weight in itself. It's about longing for someone, longing while the cold of winter strikes and the snow slowly falls on you. It's gentle, it's sweet, it's nostalgic, bittersweet as well. Its bass R&B sound with a saxophone, minimalistic beat, acoustic guitars and strings set the tone perfectly and wrap up the day or night for you. This is actually one of the very first songs performed by Seiyu that I fell in love with. I've not always associated this song with this season, but as years have gone by and I make sure to revisit this song yearly, I've started to read more into it, and this actually is a holiday-themed song. A tragic one, but still a holiday-themed song. Sweet to its core, with a lot of melancholy on top to deal an emotional blow. That was the way of Elekita Round Zero. And while I know that Shinosuke Tachibana and Satoshi Hino will most likely never listen to Seiyu Lounge, I still want to thank them for the memories. Elekita Round Zero sure has a spot in my favorite Seiyu units ever, and their music has been the soundtrack to some, I'd say, pivotal moments in my life. Loved them to bits, and I only wished they had lasted longer and been more popular. Thanks for the memories, Elekita Round Zero. You were awesome. Tachibana-san, Hino-san, domo arigatou gozaimasu. Christmas is around the corner, and I hope that these 12 songs will get you in the mood. I know 2020 has been messed up and all of us can't meet our friends, family, lovers, and it gets a bit hard, especially in this nostalgic, family-focused season, to be alone or far from the people you cherish. That may happen to some of you, but know that music has a way to your heart, and you will for sure be smiling at your memories, you'll be nostalgic, you'll cry, and it's okay to cry. You're doing it because you have fond memories of someone, someplace, or a moment in your life. Hold on to those memories and smile. Christmas is here, and these songs are here to get you in the mood, warm you up, and heal you. I didn't particularly rank the songs, but I do have my favorites. Yuma Uchida's Merry Christmas, Tetsuya Kakihara's Hikari winter version, and Elekita Round Zero's Summer Snow are usually in heavy rotation on my side, but you can listen to these songs and rank them yourself as you see fit. I am also aware that I have not talked about a lot of Christmas-themed songs. So I ask you, do you have any favorite Christmas or holiday-themed songs performed by male seiyuu or 2D music projects that you'd like to share? Please do suggest those in the comments. I'd love to listen to those, and perhaps if there are enough suggestions, create a new Christmas or holiday themed list, or even an additional episode of Seiyu Lounge about those songs. If you enjoyed this episode and don't want to miss the Hand That Feeds HQ's weekly male seiyuu and music related content, hit the subscribe button. I'll return next week with another episode of Seiyu Lounge. Thank you for listening, and